up, my friends? Chrissy Crash here. Welcome to the do's and don'ts of killer roller derby offense. So here's the deal. I think most skaters think that offense in roller derby comes from like being like the biggest, strongest, scariest person on the track. And that's not most people, right? And so I think it's really important that skaters understand that being giant is not necessarily the thing that gets jammers through. Okay. So as we walk through this, I just want you to consider that like the best offensive skaters really know that the positioning, that the timing, how to like manipulate the defense, these are the really, really key pieces. So if you're someone who ever felt like you hit someone and like literally nothing happens, or maybe you lose the jammer in the pack and you're like, where did they go? Or like you run out of gas while you're trying to create offense and you're left like, and the jammer's like, are you going to help me or not? Right. Or maybe you just feel like you're just a blocker in the wall and you see the offense happening and you're like, man, I should really be helping right now. And you just have no idea how to do it. So we made these 5 do's and don'ts for you. This was a combination of myself and then our head coach, Original Sin here at Crash Course. We wanted to put this together because we think that there's a lot of skaters right now who are really talking about offense. Offense used to be this very high level strategy that was like a miracle when people pulled it off. Mostly jammers had to work on their own. But now offensive strategy is not only a really key part of high level play, but it's something that we're seeing a lot of B and C level skaters having the expectation that they understand how to do it. And so we wanted to put some of this together to pass some of that knowledge on. If we haven't met before, hi, my name is Chrissy Crash. I am the founder of Crash Course. I started playing roller derby in 2006. When I played roller derby, I was just totally obsessed. Maybe you can relate. Like, I didn't know what roller derby was. I saw a commercial for this TV show called Roller Girls, and I was like, what is that? And I'm like, Googling, what is roller derby? I found a local league. I bought some roller skates. I showed up. In the beginning, I was the kid clinging to the wall around the roller rink. And shortly after that, within a couple of years, I was the one earning MVPs. I actually landed a spot, was one of the Manson sisters in Whip It, all kinds of things. But a lot of it, came because when I found roller derby, I felt very disconnected from my body. I hadn't been an athlete since high school. I had gained the freshman 30 in college. And so when I found derby, I was very much not in like a very like high athletic state, but derby really motivated me to want to kick ass. And so over the course of especially those first couple of years, I had to really learn how to train specifically for roller derby because I'd always like worked out for fitness. I was always constantly on some stupid diet trying to like be skinny, which is so fucking stupid. But roller derby really taught me that I wanted to be strong and I wanted to take up space. And so I had to then learn how to train and eat and rest and perform like an athlete so that I could really show up and be one of those strong skaters on the track. And I did that. And so I want to walk you through this because I really think that, being a skater who is an all-around skater, one of the things that I've learned is it comes from being number one, a smart skater. But you can have all the brains on the track, but if you can't execute it, it really doesn't freaking matter. So let me walk you through these. So basically, these are the 5 key offensive principles that are really going to make a difference between like sort of like the average offense and then having super awesome offense. And at the end, I can walk you through how to implement this stuff. So make sure you stick around till the end. So first things first. So don't just hit to hit. Now, in the beginning, I think, there's different stages of awareness. First, there's like you don't know that you don't know, right? So that means that there's offense that needs to be done, but you don't really know what offense is, so you're not doing it. But then there's like, that you don't know. So like you're seeing the offense and like you're like seeing that there needs to be offense, but you're not doing it. But then a lot of us get to this point where you know what you should be doing and you're trying to do it, but you're doing it very ineffectively. And so most skaters, when they think about offense initially, you'll see them just hitting to hit. It looks like, standing really upright and like throwing shoulder checks, and it just doesn't make anyone move. And the worst part is that you're actually burning out all of your energy doing that. So when we're thinking about really good offense, right, what we do want to do is we want to attack with purpose and body position. So when you're thinking about doing offense, I want you to think about, we'll do a little example. I want you to think about attacking low. Most people will come into the wall like this. This is not going to work. You want to think about getting low because what this does is as I hinge my hips, think about my body like a spring. I now have so much of this spring to extend and push forward. This is where my power is going to come from. Okay, so doing offense this way versus this way is going to make a huge difference, right? And then also think about driving through the blocker instead and moving them versus trying to just kind of hit them, right? So now I'm out of breath. But you want to think about moving the blocker out of the way. So you want to take that space away. So when I'm thinking about hitting a blocker, I did an Instagram video about this called How to Block with Your Hips. But if I'm over here and I want to move someone that's here, I want to be looking past them. So I'm going to be trying to move past them. So I'm not trying to hit the wall. I'm actually trying to move the wall apart. Okay. That's number one. So number two, like I said, don't skate straight into like a skater standing up straight, but also don't just skate straight into the back of the wall. I think a lot of times what skaters will do if they're behind is they'll think about driving forward into a stable wall, but then it lets the wall absorb all of the hit and stay really, really organized, right? So instead, the best way that you can help your jammer is not if you just become another blocker in the wall, right? So what you do want to do is that instead of hitting the wall straight on, I want you to force the defense to actually have to react to you, right? Because if the wall can stay kind of chill and be like, cool, that person's playing offense, like they're not going to have to move. So you want to be using lateral movement and then speed changes and direction shifts. So it may be that you're coming and you're hitting really hard and then you're sliding the other way, right? So you want to make the defensive players, you want to make the blockers like turn their hips or break their formation in some way. Because if they're reacting to you, then they can't be focusing on the jammer. So if you're just being really predictable and just like hitting the wall like this, they're not going to move. But if you're coming from this direction and that direction and this direction, all of a sudden you're making them all move. And because this is 2 to 4 blockers that are all individual brains, all of those brains are going to be processing that information in different ways. So they all may go in different directions, and this is what's going to split the pack up. Right. You know who's so here's a really great example of someone who has done some really great stuff in terms of like leveling up their offense. So I had this client, Amy, who came to us and she was struggling with this like major imposter syndrome, right? Maybe you can relate to this as you're trying to do offense. Her big thing was that she had this inner critic that always told her that she couldn't do it. And so she would hit the wall head on, right, without any power behind it because it felt really safe. She's like, okay, I know that I can do that and I'm not going to fall down. And at least I'm kind of trying to help. Right. But the problem is this was actually proving her to her inner critic that like it was right. Like, yep, you're right. You can't do offense. Yep, you're right. You shouldn't even try. And so a big thing that we started working with Amy on was really building like strength and agility and direction changes off the track and off skates training. And then what happened was we also worked with her on really transforming what does she do in her brain when things get hard? Because if we can take hard off skates exercise is a really great way to notice where does your brain go to when things get challenging? And you can use that as a mental space to start practicing. What are you saying to yourself when things get hard? So when you get into a tough, for example, offensive situation, you can then start being like, no, I got this. No, I got this versus, oh my God, I'm freaking out. Nothing is happening. Right. So as we started working on that off skates agility and then we started working on her power and then working on how she talked to herself on the track, she's now become a primary pivot. And it was so cool. She actually told us recently how good it felt when the other team like complimented her fierce offense after the game. So just think to yourself, like if you start working on these little things, how would it feel to know that you were this confident, effective player on the track? And how good would it feel if people were like, dude, I saw your O out there. It was so awesome. Right. But it starts from starting to focus on these little things. Right. So number 3, do communicate with your jammer. Right? Do not fight the pack the whole time. Okay. If you just do not communicate with your jammer and you look back and you're like, oh, there's the jammer. I'm going to take off and play offense. And your jammer has no idea what offense you're playing. They don't even realize you're the one playing offense, right? And you're just hitting this wall. You leave your jammer behind. The offense isn't going to work. This is one of the biggest problems that I see is someone's like, I'm going to play offense. But you have to remember, you are in a team sport. So you have to play offense with your team, right? You're not going to solve the problem if you're doing it alone. So make sure that you are communicating with your jammer. This could look like ahead before the jam starts. Hey, I'm going to be your O. Look for me when you come out. This could look like as a team saying, okay, like when the jammer is coming up, the jammer needs to be looking for who are they making eye contact with that's going to be playing offense. Something to communicate to that jammer that you are their person. Okay. You and your jammer should be working together. If you lose them and you do these quick direction changes and you look back and your jammer's like four people behind you, it's not gonna work. And so now you have to reset and help them again. So make sure that you're communicating with your jammer and they know where it is that you're going. This is something that I think is really important to practice during practice with your jammers, having a couple of like specific things that you guys know that you do, but there has to be that communication. There has to be those plays set. There has to be some knowledge because if you're just randomly going to hit people and the jammer doesn't know what's going on, nothing's going to happen. Okay. Mistake number 4, don't get stuck in the middle of the pack watching. Okay. Standing upright and just sort of like coasting and thinking gives the other team time to rebuild and reset their wall. So if you're going to go play offense, you need to keep playing offense. What happens is a lot of time jammers will come, our blockers will come up and they'll do a big block and they're like, yeah, I did it. And they stop skating to watch and observe their great work. And everything resets around you. Now, the other problem is a lot of times skaters will do a big hit like that, and then they're like so tired from trying to do offense that they can't do it again. Right. So, what you do want to do with offense is you want to do it and then you want to reset and you want to attack again. Right. Because real offense is not a singular movement. It's like this persistence. You hit, you go again. You find your edges, you go again. You hit the wall this way, you see another crack, you hit the wall this way. Right. So sometimes it's going to take 3, 4, 5 hits before you actually break up the formation of that pack. So a really, really great example of this. So my client Denise was really, really struggling with this like need to be perfect. And what we found was that like one bad jam could literally take her out of the game completely. And so we really started working on endurance off the track because she was able to develop this sort of level of resilience by doing hard things over and over again that started to translate into faster resets and more consistency on the track. And as a result of that, also earned a primary pivot spot because as she told us, she could really finally trust her body more and finally had the mental space to think about what was happening on the track instead of just reacting emotionally. Because imagine how it would feel if your fitness was at such a high level that when all of this stuff was going on and you're making that third, fourth, fifth hit, you're still able to think clearly because you're not gasping for breath. So you need to be training in order to be ready to do those multiple hits over and over and over again. All right. Number 5, don't admire your hit. Don't admire your hit. You're going to do some beautiful hits on the track. It's going to be great. If you stop moving after you do that, the defense is going to reset immediately and good offense is just going to take the lanes right again. So instead, what you want to do is you want to create space at angles, one after the other after the other. Okay, so it's not just hit once in this direction, hit, move in this direction, hit, move in this direction, hit, where else can I separate someone? Right? So think about trying to rotate the body or rotate the hips of the other skaters in order to give your jammer that lane that they can flip through, slip through. All right. So here's the sort of secret that you guys need to hear, and you've kind of heard me alluding to it, is that most skaters, they don't struggle with offense because they don't understand roller derby. They struggle with it because the agility is not there, because they're gasping for breath because they don't have endurance, or because their mindset starts breaking down as their energy starts getting lower, right? And so you can't execute offense if you're gassing out halfway through the jam. You can't execute offense if you feel like you're not be able to react fast enough and move laterally. You can't do offensive offense if offensive offense. You can't do effective offense if you don't have the confidence to step up and be like, I'm the one that's gonna play O. Right. And honestly, this is exactly why I built Crash Course, because it's designed specifically for roller derby skaters to build track endurance, to have that agility and edge control, right? To build that strength that can make hard contact over and over and over again. And most importantly, to build the confidence to be the kind of skater that actually executes plays jam after jam, because confidence, it's not going to come from like understanding strategy. You have to be physically and mentally prepared to execute it over and over again for two 30-minute halves. You're not training for your best, easiest jam. You're training for your worst case scenario. And if you can train for those worst case scenario 2-minute long jams where the O is so important that you need to have the best fitness ever, then that's when you're going to become an incredible skater. So how do you implement this? Number one, do it on your own, right? You can go, I don't know, look up some explosive power workouts on the internet. You can keep talking to your coaches at practice about offense and things like that. The second option is you can like hire separately, like go get yourself a personal trainer, usually about like $600 a month if you were doing like 3 sessions a week at like $50 a session. Hire a skate coach, right? Someone that's going to work with you individually on skill and strategy, like review your footage, work with you through like any kind of skills that you're working on or what you need to do better in your games. Maybe you hire yourself a mindset coach, right? Probably another couple $100 that's working with you on your imposter syndrome and all those things. Like realistically, if you're going to pile all those people together, you're probably going to spend somewhere around $1,300 a month to like find these 5 coaches, right? And be like, hey, please work with me, right? But this is why we created Crash Course. So, I mean, your third option is you could do something like our 16-week program, because this is like the fastest way to go from average to all-star, right? All of our coaches are certified personal trainers. They're all experienced roller derby skaters, right? So the goal is that we help you save time and energy by working smarter, not harder, right? And using proven systems of all-star athletes so that you can actually get there faster, right? And so I think the cool thing too is there's this whole supportive community that goes along with it. And there's something to be said about being in a community of skaters that are also not competing against you. You're not competing against a roster spot for them. It's okay for you not to know. It's okay for you to have questions, right? And the cool thing is Crash Course is not $1,300 a month, right? It does tend to be priced like hiring a personal trainer. So programs run anywhere from like $500 to $750 a month, just depending on how your plan is personally customized. But we also have like a ton of payment plans available because we want this to be something that's available for our skaters everywhere. So if it's something that you're interested in, I will drop the link down below. Right now, we are accepting 5 skater spots at the time that I'm recording this. For skaters that really want to build that all-star level offensive ability so that you can really get noticed by your coaches and get more track time, right? So if you're serious about being the offensive skater that your jammer can trust to get them through the pack, click the link down below. There's an application to fill out. And then we'll book you like a strategy call so we can hop on the phone with one of our strategy coaches or myself and really game plan, like what do you need? What pieces do you need? What do you need to accomplish to get there? Where are you getting stuck? And if it feels like a good fit, we'll map out a 16-week program for you. We'll work with you directly through that program and really help you unlock that offensive ability that your team really needs you to have this season. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have skaters on your team that are struggling with offense, please share this video with them. If you'd like to talk to us more about Crash Course and you're interested in applying, click the link down below. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video because life is a contact sport. We're just here to train you how to win. I'll see you later.